Welcome to the first episode of the Mountains Men Minds podcast. My guest for the first episode is Jay Mistry. He's 33 from West Yorkshire. He's a keen hill walker. He's been on mountains all across the UK, including 22 Munros. Jay, just tell me about how you got into hiking and just maybe your best experiences out in the hills.
I've always been to hiking, sort of growing up around the Pennines, mainly the Peak District, from I live in West Yorkshire. And then, it's kind of back in 2014, I kind of lost it around my mid-20s. And then I kind of put a lot of weight on and joined a local hiking group. And that's where I started properly, this last proper stint of hiking. It was just one walk up Snowdon that almost killed me, which is the highest mountain in Wales. And I love being in the outdoors now. That's where it came from, really. Just got into it and got into wild camping last year, which is a new thing, including, sleeping on highest mountains like Ben Nevis in Scotland. Pretty epic, really, once you get into it and you kind of look at where you've been and what you've done and the views from the top and being away from humans is pretty epic, really.
And your best experience out in the mountains, maybe like an example from somewhere in Scotland and then somewhere outside Scotland. You obviously done a lot of hiking in England and Wales as well.
Yeah, well, the best one we've had in Scotland, I would say, would be Sullivan. I think it's a Corbett, which is a 700. It's not as big. It's everyone knows Sullivan. It's one of the iconic mountains. We went up last May and we hiked into the base. You go along this track. It's quite well made. It's a hunting track. And we couldn't get in the bothy because it was full. So we camped in a blizzard, of all things, under the sort of looking up at Sullivan, which is a huge rock. And then got up in the morning and hiked it for sunrise, which then turned into another blizzard again. That's the best experience in Scotland. Sullivan, up in Ullapool, it's just complete remoteness. You actually feel like, it's pretty epic to do something like Sullivan. And then in England and Wales, I mean, probably the best, most memorable, sort of hiking would be probably Kirkfell up the nose from Wastwater, which is the deepest lake in England. Kirkfell was my 214th Wainwright's being 7 pictorial guides of the lakes by an author called Alfred Wainwright, who spent most of his life there. And he was the first one to document the fells, draw them, put the routes in. The list is 214. I'm halfway, about 70 through my second round. But going up the nose of Kirkfell from Wasdale, it's just the mountains just open in front of you, and it was just an epic day. It's interesting to you look at the hills and stuff like that, and everywhere you go, like the Scottish hills, are completely in a different league to English and Wales hills. They're probably my two most memorable kind of hikes I've done.
Cool. And then with the Wainwrights, obviously for people in Scotland, we have the Munros, the Corbetts, the Grahams. People go Munro bagging. Wainwrights, how big an activity is that in England, and how much have you enjoyed that experience, that journey of doing all the Wainwrights? And do you have like do you have a favourite Wainwright, one that you like to do more than once?
You see, the good thing when we talk about Wainwrights, like Corbetts and stuff like that, the thing is I figured out with Scotland, you'll probably chuckle at this, Ross, is that everything with Scottish hills, you've got to go and climb to a certain height. Now, the good thing with Wainwrights is there's no set height in them. You've got, Binsey, which is 200 or 300 metres, I can't remember off the top of my head, and literally it's a 10 minutes stroll across the field. And then you've got the big ones, which are the Scarfells, the 900-metre ones, the big tall ones, like Great Gable and stuff like that. And I think it's a great way to start hiking. It's a really good way to get into it, a really good way to learn what kit you need. Obviously, you've got to go out with your kit, what you have. But I mean, to start bagging into Wainwrights, I've had a lot of friends do it now. I think there's over 7,000, 8,000 people who've completed them. I know there's still more of my friends are doing them, but it's a great way actually to get properly into hill hiking and walking, and because you can go out and do say Catbells on a leisurely, sort of Sunday afternoon stroll or Waller Crag, but then you can go for full days through the Crinkle Crags, S Pike, Bowfell. Yeah, it's certainly interesting to do, and like I said, there's no set height, so it's kind of where the Graham and the Corbetts are kind of you're going to go sort of that kind of slog up the hill. It's completely it's interesting. It's an interesting list to say the least. With the usual favourite of bogs and crazy routes that you think you're going to just like, yeah, this is interesting. But no, I think Wainwrights are good in England because it gives people the ability to sort of get into it, and then it's just like we go. Well, I'm doing a lot in Wales at the moment. I'm doing the Nuttall's, which are 446 hills over 2,000 foot across England and Wales, and you go across each country, England, Wales, and Scotland. Sort of their hills are different, and it's I try and vary because of living here. I'm to Monroe's, I'm 4 hours. To the lakes, I'm 2 hours. To North Wales, I'm probably just 2.5 to 3. And it's like when your mind feels like a change. It's kind of good to go and see the different hills and kind of explore really.
Mm-hmm. And like, do you feel the fact that you have like a list of Munros to do, a list of Wainwrights to do, a list of Nuttalls to do? Is it good to have that list that sort of keeps you going because it gives you that motivation to try and do them all?
It does and it doesn't. It's kind of really weird. I mean, in one sense, it's like, well, because I've obviously, with this about mental health, and my mental health goes in stages. It goes from being good and then kind of up and down, I should say. And sometimes like now because we're in lockdown, as we're talking about, this is we're in third week of lockdown due to COVID-19. I'm itching to go and do get through some of these lists because I sat there and I kind of set myself a date to push myself. But then other times, it's kind of, especially when I learned this when I was doing my Wainwrights and my first round of Wainwrights, towards the end of the list, I was getting pretty tired. Just, kind of slogging to get hills done. And yeah, it's a bit, that's why I say it's good for both, because sometimes it's good to get you motivated when you've got no motivation. You're thinking, let's go and do this. You want to get through the challenge. Other times, you kind of think, that's what one thing I learned about doing my Wainwrights is that, obviously there's still hills. This is why I've got 2 or 3 lists at the moment. Like I'm 22 through Monroe's, is that having these lists, but sort of depends how you feel, and it's a good motivation to have. But sometimes it's kind of when when you especially mind's not in it. Sometimes it's good to have a break from the lists to try and find other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you don't even need to submit them. Sometimes all you need to do is kind of just do a bit of the walk or get a bit of hiking, and it helps your mental health so much. Just to sit there and look at the views, and yeah, it's quite interesting. That's why I like hiking, because it kind of takes you away from sort of, and you sort of lose yourself in hiking.
Mm-hmm.
Although, yeah, like I said, lists can drive you nuts, and it's good motivation to have, and it does give you a kick sometimes. So, yeah.
And we can talk about mental health in a second, but yeah, just on the Wainwrights, was it, how big a sense of achievement was it to complete that first round of Wainwrights, and what was the last Wainwright you did to complete it?
It was a bit of a, to be fair, like I said, when I did complete my Wainwrights, I was quite tired. I kind of did, I work a lot away, and I'm quite busy with work, so I'm trying to get through these lists and weather we have over here in England. But it was kind of the last 70 Wainwrights. I was pretty much doing marathons to get them done. Like, so I was going out on a Saturday doing 25, 26 miles to buy, 10, 11, 20 of them.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it was a weird feeling when you completed them. It was like you kind of got to the end of a list, and it was like, wow, that's some achievement. But I ended up doing it on a Monday on my own instead of celebrating with my friends because of the weather. And it was Kirkfell was my last one. Went straight up the nose. Thought I was going to actually not make it because it was so steep. It was 25% pretty much the whole way to 800 and something meters. But, one thing I did enjoy about the Wainwrights, though, is the more I went through the list, and especially with the lakes, I mean, Scotland's a bit different because, like, the Munros and the Corbetts are spread out in huge areas. You've got the Cairngorms, you've got Ullapool and the Highlands, and then you've got roll around Glencoe, and you've got quite a big distance between them. Whereas the Wainwrights, the more you did was like jigsaw puzzles coming together. Especially if you got clag-free days, you could sit there and go that, and that hill's called that, and that hill's called that. The lakes are very compact, and that was one good thing really, really enjoyed about doing the more you did, the more you understood, the hills, and it was really interesting. And Kirkfell, like I said, was my final one on Monday morning. Didn't really celebrate it, unfortunately. Like I said, it was I was delayed by 24 hours due to the weather. My friends went home because they were up for my friend's birthday at the time. We celebrated my friend's birthday, and I just went for a solo mission to get it done, just to get that list done. And I had a break of about a month after that, but it was good to get back in the hills and good to go back now and my second round of Wainwrights, which I'm kind of wild camping on a lot of them this time, and just admiring them a little bit more, taking it a bit more sort of steady and learning the routes and finding different paths to explore and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite cool.
Cool. And just on obviously the mental health aspect, which you were mentioning there. So yeah, if you were just to talk about how hiking, how getting up mountains, getting up hills, getting out in nature, how does that help you with your mental health?
Well, it's kind of the best way to describe the hills. This is what I was saying about getting anybody, to get anybody into the hills, and it's just basically like for me, I suffer with mental health. It's hard to switch off anxiety and stuff like that. And I get days where but as soon as you get on the hills, I try and forget about everything that's causing me issues, and just kind of, it's good just to be away from society a little bit and to switch off from your normal world if you can do. And that's what I tend to do. When I'm in the hills, I switch off from what I'm currently living to where I am now, just to enjoy it. And it lifts the spirits up. You just feel so much sort of, it's like a cleansing really for your mind. I find like my anxiety levels go down once I've been up the hills. I'm happier for a few more days. It kind of gives you, it's like a nature's natural battery charger, really. Even like, I live close to Pennines, and it's kind of, I've done a couple of short walks now because of, following obviously COVID-19. But even just being out in the fresh air is just, it's just so good for it's soul food, it's mind food, it's, if you can learn to switch off and enjoy and just sort of, take in what's around you for a couple of hours, and you come back and you're ready to fight another battle with your mind again. And I think that's why, it's kind of, people are like promoting it more and more. I would definitely push anybody says I've got problems, or, go and find a small hill and go up there for, and, just learn and sort of, figure it out. That makes any sense. Just enjoying it, being out in the the outdoors and stuff.
Yep. And when you're talking about obviously being outdoors and how that could be a help, what do you think it is specifically in a lot of the cases when you're going outdoors? What is it about the hills? What is it about the mountains that attracts you? Obviously, you have like coastal walks. You can go for walks in the woods. You do low level walks. What is it about getting up a hill, getting up a mountain that is a big appeal for you?
I think it's the biggest thing is the best terminology I could come across. It makes you realise how small your problems actually are.
Yeah.
You sit on a mountain and you're kind of thinking, wow, there's a big world out there. And for me, it's basically like that's I would say it's more as well the challenge. It takes your mind off things and it inspires you to sort of think. For me, like when I've had my dark days and felt really down or feel really, I'm thinking I just would love to go back out. It's like, I go to the top of, say, I don't know, in Wales, Trafan, which is one of the most famous mountains, and that sense of achievement, and I look around and think, I really want to go back there. And, I'll go to another side, you see on the mountain, and you see, when you're up on the roads and you see on the mountain, and kind of when you're feeling down, it kind of gives you that motivation when you're not in the hills to go back again.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of, it comes a bit of like a drug, really. It's like a bit of an addiction. But a lot of times, when I've had really bad days, I'm sat on top of a mountain thinking, yeah, problems don't seem so bad. And like I said, it's nature's recharging, batteries. It gives you that kind of, I want to, enjoy, it's kind of, and then you just kind of get inspired and it's definitely it's hard to describe when you sat on the sofa, but I would definitely recommend anybody to sort of just give it a go and definitely helps the mind. Put it that way.
Yep. And you've done a lot to try and inspire other people into hiking as well. I mean, I think from myself, I came across pictures that you'd posted on social media of your adventures. I think it was one time you're up doing Ben Lawers last year when I came across some of your pictures, and obviously you get a lot of people on social media that you maybe inspired to get into hiking. And then, for example, last Christmas, I know BBC did a wee story on you because you'd organised a walk up Scafell Pike on Christmas Day to maybe help people that felt lonely on Christmas and to get them outdoors and things. So why is it important to you to try to inspire other people to get out hiking, and tell me a bit about that Christmas walk up Scafell Pike as well?
Well, the thing is with me is I've always thought like one thing I've learned a mistake when a few years back is trying to hide my mental health. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. I was constantly smiling on pictures, even though I was outdoors. And I think this is how it changed a little bit. And I started being more open and honest about my mental health, about my struggles. And people it kind of like, wow, and then I post as I go. I'm always trying to find crazy stuff to do as well. I always say people don't follow me half the time. Not like that way. I'm going up the hills and stuff I do, but yeah, it's kind of for me my drive sometimes as well. When you're having a bad days, if I can inspire three other people to get out and get hiking, it's good. It's that's that's the thing now. Mental health is quite an open topic now. It's quite it's easier to talk about than it was about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's more widely recognised. And yeah, it was kind of it's one of my priorities that if I can help others, get out, it inspires me to go back out again, and I'm hoping that it's like that kind of cascade, so that other people would get the ideas, and it's sort of we get as many people out as we can, and I believe it helps a lot of people. And when I'm hiking, I do get recognised quite a lot because of rainbow hat, and it's interesting to be recognised. But yeah, I would definitely say it's soul food. And then last year, well, my folks have a house in America, and they go over there Christmas every year, and I always work really sort of not sure when I work really up to Christmas. So I knew Christmas I was at home this year, and I was on my own. My folks were away, and there's nothing to do on Christmas Day. And I was thinking, well, there's going to be more people like me. So back in October time, I put a post on one of the Facebook groups saying, anybody want to come to Scafell Pike Christmas Day? And suddenly it went viral. And then I did some filming with the BBC back in October with that to promote it because they were really interested. And yeah, it was an interesting experience. I think I'll never make a TV presenter because I managed to follow every branch trying to go into filming. Um, yeah, but it was good, and we managed to get 7 people out, and all from all over parts of the UK. They came and hiked. I had a friend called Jeff who left me some chocolates at the top because he'd run up from the other side of the hill. And yeah, it was a really, really, this year I think we're doing Catbells, which is a lot lower hill. It's in the edge of Keswick for Christmas Day. And I think there'll be quite a few of us this year because I've been asked by quite a few people to do it. I'm in the lakes for Christmas, spending happy time in the hills. Yeah, so it was a really good day. I dressed as Santa as well, and I didn't expect it to be so warm as it was. It was absolutely roasting climbing dressed as Santa. But yeah, when we came off the hills. I think 7 people had the most epic day with strangers, and
Yeah.
it was great to be spend something magical like that. Especially the weather we had, blue skies, bit cloud inversions, snow. We didn't have much snow on the ground, but it was pretty much clear skies all day. So yeah, it was definitely. I'm looking forward to this year and see what'll happen this year. We could have a crazy party on top of Catbells on Christmas Day. I've already got 3 or 4 people signed up for doing it. Yeah, I think that's my biggest goal. Next to hills and this, I want to take off. It's trying to inspire people to get out there and hike because it's hard to put in words sometimes. How magical the hills can be. Especially when you go up some of the Munros and you sit there and just look at something just awe-inspiring, thinking, yeah, my problems don't seem to happen. It definitely is fun.
Yeah. And just on obviously the aspect of getting other people into hiking and trying to kind of pass on the help it gives to you onto them. So like obviously the situation we're in just now, the coronavirus, the lockdown, a lot of people have a lot of anxiety and things at the minute. So once that lockdown lifts, at whatever point it is and whatever form that lockdown lift takes, how beneficial do you think getting out hiking the mountains, the hills, the outdoors is going to be for people?
I think, when obviously at the moment I even when we're locked down at the moment, I'm still posting some of my older photos. Trying to even posting all the photos at the moment is giving people. Like I had a lot of people say to me on my Facebook that it's giving people inspiration and motivation. And I think once the lockdown's lifted, I think it's going to be imperative because it's going to be it's going to be strange times when the lockdown's lifted. But I think for people who've had a lot of mental health, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. I mean, I know a lot of friends, and I'm even feeling it now. Would be just switch off from that and just kind of I'm trying to encourage other people to get out and I think this year is going to be a very much staycation for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Europe's going to be locked down. I think air travel is going to be slow and holidays going to be slow. So I think I think a lot of people are going to need to escape sort of society. And I think it will help a lot of people. A lot of people will realise how precious the hills are and stuff like that once they kind of lock down. I hope it changes a lot of people. I hope it kind of they stick at it. Yeah, I mean it's hard at the moment because obviously we are pushing to sort of keep people off the hills.
Mm-hmm.
And local urban walks. But I think it's what a lot of doctors recommend as well normally. But I think hiking once this lockdown's done, I think is going to be key for a lot of people's mental health and mental state to get back to some normality. I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially even just to get into it. Because there's going to be some challenges ahead. I think definitely.
And then just for yourself in the situation, when just now, how for maybe on your mental health, how's the lockdown and the whole situation just now affected you, and how do you cope with what's going on at the minute?
Well, for me, it's hard. I mean, I've been suffering with my anxiety. Well, I've been trying to manage my anxiety and my mental health. It's hard for me because I can't, I live in the Pennines, I can get to them, but at the same time, as we talked to earlier in this podcast, of being well recognised and sort of inspiration for people. It's the same time I don't want to kind of go rogue and set a bad example. It's that fine balance. But for me, even like I'm here, at home, I'm doing a lot of research, planning, looking at hills. There's so many websites you can get. I've got a lot of books and planning trips, planning adventures. So, for my mental health sake, I've kind of got this focus on, I don't know how long this lockdown's going to be, but it's basically my mental focus is on, because I live and breathe hiking, is when I can go out for a stroll around the streets or find a hill, not like a street hill, just to get out and escape. I've also got like a training. I've just lost a lot of weight while this lockdown's on, just to get ready for when the hills come. So yeah, it's like planning, preparation, kind of, reading, kind of inspiring yourself, looking back on photos. Like I said before earlier in this podcast, we're talking about like sort of how it inspires you. The past adventures is sort of, I've got loads of. I'm like a dog that wants to walk now. But even like as I'm hoping we'll get sort of out of this lockdown in June time, I think. And yeah, it's kind of, that's how my mental health. I'm sort of keeping focused, kind of thinking, what can I do to help myself when the lockdown comes? So over the next week or so, at the moment we're working on a big 3-week power station shutdown. So I'm a key worker at the moment, and it's long, hard days. So that's making time fly. But once that's over with, and I know we'll go quiet with work in the office on my department, I've got a 20-kilo weight and a big 60-litre rucksack. I'm going to start hiking sort of the roads around here and the hills, because we've got quite a few hills where I live as roads, just to get my fitness up and stuff like that. And just to give myself some motivation, for ready when the hills kind of are open again, how to escape, because it's going to be a crazy summer when I get let loose. But yeah, I think that's a lot of it. This time people, are going through is kind of following like sort of a focused mindset, really, of research, planning, preparation, and just kind of taking each day as it comes, really. And, that's the best way to do it. Yeah, it's the best way I can keep focused. It's
planning the next adventure. Yeah. Last kind of question on mental health. So obviously we're both men in our 30s who have gone through depression in the past, mental health issues in the past, and obviously hiking's really helped that. How important is it for men, for everyone really, to be more open about their mental health and to try and seek help when they need it, basically?
I think it's key, because I pushed myself to a point in 2018. I had a mental breakdown, and that's because I was like a volcano. People kept seeing this happy, sort of smiley, young man hiking, enjoying life. My family didn't even know stuff, and it just exploded on me. And it's the worst thing ever. We keep, the hardest thing is bottling something up. And I believe, there isn't a stigma attached to it anymore. It's quite, there's quite a lot of support out there and encouragement. And like I said, mentioned earlier in this podcast, be honest and open about everything. It helps you a lot. It helps your mind. It helps, so many things. People are so much understanding. I mean, mental health, the stigma's pretty much come away from it now. It's quite easy to talk about. Some of your problems are hard. Some people don't still get it. But, there is a good understanding population out there, especially on social media, and kind of, you can get quite a lot of support from it, and encouragement. But yeah, I think it's, I'm 34 this year, and definitely in the last, sort of since I remember right down, it's the more I've been open, the more I've been open. It like people are sort of come more inspired by my adventures, like kind of thinking, yeah, he can do it, I can do it too. It's just good to have it off your chest. I'm feeling, like some days you get out of car and you look at a hill and it could be the easiest path up a, something like, easiest hill up you can imagine. You can't climb it. You just can't get out of the car. And other days, you sort of, and it does alleviate a lot of pressure. It's kind of, it's easier now to talk about it. You're in bad days, good days. Um, yeah, definitely. I would say, be open and honest. Even if you do a hill and you get halfway up, and you feel like you've achieved something, but your mental health doesn't feel like you can push you anymore because you're exhausted. But at least you got out and done something. That's the best way to do it. Say it really. It's kind of open and honest, the best way you can.
Last question for you, Jay, just on where we live, obviously, Scotland, England, UK. How lucky are we to live in such a beautiful country?
Oh, one thing. I mean, I'm quite fortunate. I travel for my job. We go all over the UK. I mean, I was mentioning to you, Ross, that I was in Dundee the other day, and there's so many variations. It kind of, Scotland. There's so many places to explore that. Every country has its unique beauty, and that's the good thing about hiking because it drives you to explore more. And England, Wales, and Scotland, even though we're a United Kingdom, is uniquely diverse. Sort of the hills are different. It's kind of it's great. It's really good to sort of explore and see the different hills and some of the roads. It's like I've done most of Scotland roads, and I went up to it's basically north of the Cairngorms. There's a ski resort up there, and it was just awe-inspiring. I've never been up there before, but it's kind of yeah. I mean, this country is we're uniquely in a very, very we don't have to go very far from anybody's house to find some uniquely beautiful thing to hike or walk.
And just kind of last word. What would you say to anybody listening to this that's maybe thought about getting into hiking and getting into exploring the countryside? And what would you say to them to try and inspire them?
I would say best thing to do is go out. Go out, do your research, do your preparation first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give people the sensible. I don't want people suddenly trying to run up Scarfell or the big mountains without proper kit and preparations because they are mountains at the end of the day and the weather can change.
Exactly.
We're all adults. We all know what we're doing, but just go out and do it. It's kind of find something interesting. There's so many interesting hills out there that are even big. We've got one in Yorkshire called Rosebery Topping. It sounds like a dessert, but it's a big painting thing. But I mean, in Scotland, you've got the Cobbler. You've even got something,
you got the Lowman Hills. We're talking about the hills in Fife as well earlier, before we started the podcast.
And just go for get yourself out there and just go for a Sunday stroll. Go, a Saturday hike, and you get instantly addicted. It's sort of that one thing. It's like a book. It's like, you sort of go from chapter one, you sort of go into more and more, and the more hills you do, you sort of, kind of go through the book. And that's the best way to say it. But if anyone's doubting, don't go for anything big. Just go for a small looking, interesting pointy hill or somewhere you want to go. Go and explore. And yeah, and it's so good for the mind. It's, just switch off from the world. I mean, I take a lot of photos to encourage people, but most of the time I try and switch off my phone or try and switch off social media and just get out there and hike. And it's sort of a natural body reset. I mean, I've got I got addicted to it, and it's kind of it's got a lot of benefits to doing it, and I would definitely recommend anybody just to get out there on a good day. Just to sort of, even if it's you in your back garden, not your back garden, but like sort of, like you were saying about the Lowman Hills around you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go millions of miles away to find beautiful outdoor space. You know, we got, I can't remember how many national parks we've got. We've got the Peak District, you've got the lakes, you've got Cheviot, Scotland, Cairngorms, you've got parks, even around the borders. My first visit round to near Merrick Fell,
Yeah.
which is, and it's so beautiful round there. But yeah, that's what I would definitely say to people.
Perfect. Cool. Well, great speaking to you, Jay. Thank you very much. And obviously, I hope that what you've been talking about has inspired a lot of adventures for people post lockdown, and as well, you talking about your mental health and things as well, being very open about it. So I'm sure a lot of people will obviously appreciate that as well. So thank you for your time, Jay. I really appreciate it. Stay safe.
No worries, Ross.